Chief Executive, the everlasting Kwabena Ejekum. I remember many years ago, we used to meet in some Gimpa office. I don't know if you guys are still there. You've moved. Put your hands together for Kwabena Ejekum. They like inviting me for their programs because they say when I grow old, I'll look like him. Just without the white hair. This program has been enriched by some very important people. I'd like to first acknowledge Mr. Ko Ansa. What can we say? The legend, the pioneer, the trailblazer in many fields. We appreciate your work. Thank you so much for breaking many glass ceilings for people like me as well. Please do it one more time for Ko Ansa. I'm not too sure he'll be happy with the topic for today, though. Ananse Stories about the Ghanaian economy. The way Joe Jackson knows he's shaking vlaya. He wants to do something to Kweku Ananse. You know, Kweku Ananse is a real feature of our upbringing. And I think a couple of weeks ago, I watched the reenactment of the story Ananse told. It was performed by the School of Performing Arts. Fantastic performance. If you don't know what that is, I'm sure by the end of this lecture, you will know who Ananse is. But if I say, if he's a woman and she's beautiful, I know what to do. If he's a man and strong like me, with arms like mine, then we shall fight. How many of you remember that song? Good. So that's the story Ananse told. But there are stories about Ananse. So there's a difference between the story Ananse told, which is entertaining, and then there are stories about Ananse the crafty, with his very interestingly named children. So tonight we are mixing folklore, history, economics, and society in one beautiful lecture with Joe Jackson. I'd like us to acknowledge Mr. Joe Jackson, our principal speaker, and also our celebrant. Somebody says, I don't know what you're celebrating, but he's here, of course, with Mrs. Jackson. Let's acknowledge Mrs. Jackson as well. Thank you. A number of other important functionaries here, just by sight. Mr. Michael Harry Yamson used to be my friend. Now I don't see him anymore. He's there. So busy now. He is the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator. Oh, you don't like the position? Yeah. He used to work at Unilever. He used to also work in the media. And now he's administering the District Assembly Common Funds. It's good to see you, Michael. We have a number of other important functionaries here. We won't bore you with all the details now. We'll spread them through the program. So what I want to do now is to invite the national president of the CIMG, Mr. Michael Abiu, to bring us his welcome address. Please, welcome. I have something to say about him, but I'll say it after his speech, so he cannot respond. Hello?
Distinguished members of the CIMG Governing Council, our special guest speaker, Mr. Joe Jackson, CEO of Delex Finance, esteemed patrons, fellows, and Governing Council members, members of CIMG, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, good evening. Like my brother will say, when he says good evening, usually he gets a response. So good evening. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you all to this evening's gathering, themed Ananse Stories about the Ghanaian economy. We all know Ananse never told stories merely for entertainment. His stories revealed truths, challenged assumptions, and provoked reflection. And tonight, I believe we are called to do the same, to reflect honestly on the state of our economy and the role we play within it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana has for decades served as the foremost professional body for marketing practitioners in this country. Our mandate extends beyond certification and professional development We provide a platform for ideas that stimulate commerce, economic thought, and position Ghana competitively on the global stage. Tonight's event reflects that mandate. It is not simply another gathering, but a deliberate effort to create space for thoughtful dialogue on the forces shaping our economy and the responsibility of business and marketing leaders in responding to those forces. It is a moment for us to ask difficult but necessary questions about how we adapt, how we lead, and how we contribute meaningfully to national development. Let me put it simply. Innovation is no longer optional. It is necessary. The businesses that are making progress today are not always the biggest, but the ones that are thinking differently, adapting quickly, and solving real problems as they emerge. Just as Ananse used wit and creativity to overcome challenges, Ghanaian enterprises like Daylex Finance and others show how ingenuity can solve problems, create value, and shape the economic story of our nation. Let me say it the way it is. In Ghana, we really do not have a policy problem. We have an execution problem. We have written the ideas. We have launched the strategies. We have held the meetings, but somehow the results don't always follow these actions. And even Ananse will tell you, what is the use of a clever plan if nothing happens after? So maybe the real question we should be asking ourselves tonight is this: are we just writing policies, or we are actually making them work? Because as marketing professionals, we cannot afford to just sit back and interpret. We have to push. We have to question, and we have to insist on systems that deliver real results, not just intentions. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our distinguished guest for tonight. And I'm proud to be the one introducing him. For those who don't know, that is my senior cousin. So I want to introduce my cousin Joe Jackson of Daylex Finance, someone I am proud to call a family member and whose insight speaks for itself. Joe is not just a leader in finance, I'm sure you're all aware. He's a master interpreter of Ghana's economic story. His insights are always candid, and his stories and analysis, as we are going to hear tonight, are razor sharp. And his rare gift lies in making complexity feel almost cooperative, often with a touch of humor that reminds us that even inflation can be explained without raising our blood pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, if Ananse spanned webs to teach lessons, my brother Joe Jackson helps us to make sense of the do something about. Let it be one we do something about. Because the truth is, Ghana does not need more listeners. Ghana needs doers. I invite you to carry away tonight one idea with you. And not just carrying away that one idea, it's that idea that you are ready to act on it. On behalf of the Governing Council of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, I extend a sincere gratitude to the Secretariat, led by my able President, CEO, Mr. Kwabena Ijekum, our partners, including Daylex Finance, and sponsors for making this evening possible. Thank you, and please let's enjoy the evening.
I think we can do better for Michael Abiu, who's the... I used to think I was young, but when Michael was named president of CIMG, then my year group actually will grow. Because in my head, I'm still 24. But he was my mate. You know, and you don't believe it, eh? I didn't used to believe it too. You know, there's two things you know. You know, when you go to a secondary school, Form 1, they group all of us, and his name is Abiu, Abbiw. So he was always the first on the list. So every exam, he would sit first. So he would touch the exam paper first. So if Michael Abiu does this, the paper is not good. So if he says, it means today we are blowing. And usually for the core subject, we sit in the dining hall, new dining hall from visual arts, general arts, the whole school. So that's number one. Abiu was always first. That's the fact. He was always first. I won't lie to you. He was always first. I think you even changed your course at some point. He was always first. And he went to continue his first at Tech as well. So I wasn't surprised when he was named CIMG president. So thank you. We are proud of what you do. And we know CIMG will be very strong in your presidency. Let's applaud Michael Abiu one more time. We want to also acknowledge a few people from our governing council and executives. We have Mrs. Hilda. You see, when they say write well in primary school, you don't write now, you write, I can't read it. Is it Piazza? Mrs. Hilda Piazza, forgive me. Governing council member, please put your hands together for Mrs. Piazza. Thank you. We also have a governing council member, Mrs. Norenda Wodie Deborah. Did I get that right? Wonderful. We also have the chair of our Advocacy Stakeholder Relations Committee and Deputy CEO of GTA, Gilbert Abeku Agri, a.k.a. Santana. You do all. And we have our favorite quiz mistress, Professor Elsie Efa Kaufman. I have a nickname for her, for 3 points. With the same preamble. Charlie, I love this woman to bits. She's made, I was watching a quiz last week on TV, and we judge all the quiz mistresses by you. You've made the work very difficult. So you have to slow down. So the other book can also have some space. All right. So who is Joe Jackson? He's been introduced. I like Joe Jackson for a reason. When I started doing journalism and started taking economics seriously, I used to interview finance ministers. And I'll interview a minister of finance. And he would say, we are trying to remove structural rigidities because of the macrophysical inconsistencies around the sinking fund. I'm like, what is this? Then we'll call Joe Jackson. He said, Bernard, we are broke. So like, Joe Jackson, I mean, you know, and Seth Tekpe was a notorious guy for such things. And he would say something so complicated and also foolishly say, yes, I understand. So on the evening news, we'll put Joe Jackson on and say, look, the truth is that our income and our expenditure is not balancing. Simple. So it takes a certain level of genius to make complex things simple. So in that spirit, we are coming to listen to a talk on the economy. And he's so brave enough to say, when I finish, ask me anything. Nobody ever asked me to do that, but he says I can ask him anything. So those of you at the back, be praying for him. So that when he's done, we'll ask him some questions together. So without much ado, I'd like to bring up stage our public intellectual, CEO of Dalex, and the man who's raised the bar of public discourse. Ladies and gentlemen, yours and mine, Mr. Joe. Oh, come on. Joe Jackson. We are coming to fight. Good luck. Hello? You'll use this for a while when it's sorted out.
This evening, I'm here to talk about Ananse Stories. I like Ananse. anybody who knows a little bit about me will know that every single day I wear an Ananse brooch on my chest. I've been doing that for the last 4+ years. So I'm excited about what's going to happen this evening. Because like Ananse, who's known as a trickster, just maybe I'll be tricking you tonight. Anyway, good evening, Mr. President. Happy to know that you are Abio. And I'm Jachi, although nobody calls me Jachi. Good evening, distinguished guests from the CIMG Governing Board. Good evening to all of you who are here. I see Michael, thank you for coming. Good evening. I want to acknowledge Uncle Cole, another one of the family. Uncle Cole, welcome. But you know, I also want to acknowledge my wife, and you better clap for her well, so that this evening when I go home, let them see you small. So this evening when I go home, I'll get some jollof to eat. Anyway, Ananse Stories about the economy of Ghana. You know, Ananse tells stories. And each story, there's a moral to it. And today, I'm going to tell 2 stories. And by the time I finish those 2 stories, I hope that you're going to take away something to keep you thinking. Ananse was interesting. Is interesting. You see, our stories about Ananse go around this way. Ananse, he's with Intikuma, and he's with his other brother, Kwame. They are both thirsty. All of them, 3 of them, they are all very thirsty. But unfortunately, there are only 2 glasses of water. So whilst there's a discussion about how are we going to share these 2 glasses of water to make sure that can you hear me now? How are we going to share these 2 glasses of water so that everybody gets? And the argument goes on for some time. And Ananse says, you know what? It's okay. Listen, you are my brother. You are my son. It's fine. You take the water. I'll stay thirsty. So they say, are you sure? He says, yeah, I'm sure. You take the water. I will stay thirsty. So they take the water. But just before they drink, Ananse says, but guys, you know I'm really thirsty. So what do? You and Tukuma, give me half your water. You, my brother, give me half your water. So what happens? Ananse ends up with a full glass, and the 2 of them end up with water, half glasses. You see, the stories we tell about this economy, they leave us feeling shortchanged. And yet, we can't seem to know why are we feeling shortchanged? Why are we feeling that there's something wrong? And yet, on the surface, the story seems rational. Seems good. So today, I'm going to tell you stories. Stories that on the surface sound good. Stories that on the surface will make you think, what is Joe talking about? Has he taken leave of his senses? But we'll delve deep into them and we'll look at what happens. See, my name is Joe Jackson, and I could talk about how I'm CEO of the Lex Finance, how I was a pioneer software developer as a soft drive. But you see, the most important thing today is that I love this country. And I think we could be much better than we are now. And I consider myself an economic patriot. So I'm going to talk to you about two myths. Ananse Stories. The first story. Ghana's currency weakness is caused mainly by the lack of exports or excessive imports. Sounds true, doesn't it? Or Ananse Stories. SMEs are the engine of growth. Oh, yeah, Ananse Stories. Let's delve into this. We did a little search online. 2016 to 2026. 40,000 unique mentions of the fact that we need to export more. We need to import more. Grow what you eat. Eat what you grow. Why are we importing toothpicks from China? Sounds rational. But I have a different opinion. The problem is not exports. The problem is that we lack ownership of the exports. And I'll go on to show that this is such an Ananse story that the cedi weakens not because Ghana cannot export, but too much of the export value leaks back out through services, investment income. Services is when somebody says, I have a management contract with you, so you pay me every quarter, every year. Investment income is when they say, I invested my money, so you got to pay me, allow me to repatriate my profits. Sometimes they said, we even took some debt and we have to repay that debt. Sometimes it's our government who's repaying the debt. And there's very weak domestic participation. That's why our cedi is weak. You see, on the surface, simple thing. Ghana imports gold, oil. Ghana exports gold, oil, and cocoa. And in return, we import fuel products, machinery, drugs. Relatively simple. If the value of the exports roughly matches the value of our imports, our cedi is stable. Cool. If we export more, the difference between our exports and our imports becomes positive. And there are more dollars available. So the cedi should appreciate. Simple logic. And if we import too much, there's not enough cedis, enough dollars for our imports. So the cedi depreciates. For most of us, this is the situation. This is the story. So to fix it, we either import less or export more so that our cedi will be stable. Oh yeah, that's the You know why? Let's look at my next graph. This is our trade balance. Exports minus imports. From December end 2017 all the way to 2018. And bear in mind, this is in billions of dollars. 2018, 2017, 1.19 billion. 18, 1.81 billion dollars. 2.26 billion, 19. 2.04 billion, 2020. 1.1 billion in 21. 2.3, and then 2.6, and a whopping 5.2 billion in 2024. Somebody is spinning us a story. If the value of our exports is so much bigger than the value of our imports, we should be smiling. It can't be that simple. Yeah, answer some. So the question we have to ask is this: why was the cedi depreciating when the trade balance was persistently positive? Why was it that in 2017 the cedi was 4.5 to $1, and by 2024 it was 14.7 to $1? Something doesn't make sense. And bear in mind, all the statistics I'll use today come from Bank of Ghana. And the only reason why I did not include 2025 is that the Bank of Ghana annual report is not yet out. So these are official numbers. Somebody is not telling us what it is. Why is the cedi depreciating? Why is it that in 2024, when we have a surplus of as much as 5.1 billion, still cedi dollar no nye? You see, here's my conclusion. The cedi problem is less about our import appetite and more about the weak domestic retention of export value. Because something is just not gelling. It can't be that we are not importing, we are exporting too much. It can't be. Something is wrong. And that we are importing too much. Something is wrong. Why is it that more of our forex exchange does not stay in Ghana? It's because of this. I tried to put together a little graph for you to look at, a little diagram for you to look at. You see, we import oil, gold. These days, cocoa has fallen down so far down in the pecking order that it's become oil and gold alone constitute over 70% of our exports. But something is going wrong. We leak profits. Those that control our economy, those that take the decisions, they repatriate their profits. Those that control our economy, those that take the decisions, they give contracts to their own. So at the end of the year, our net service imports, which is services that we import, less services that we export, is a whopping figure. Then there's debt service. We have to pay for our debt. The government is the biggest culprit there. And then you and I, when we get some small money, we ship it out. So there's some capital flight. After all, the cedi does not hold value because as Ghanaians, they are importing too much. So the small that will come, I have to hold it in dollars so that my money will stay the same. Something is not quite right. You see, when you look at, and I take 2024, because 2024 was when there was a hopping 5.1 billion US dollars. Export value over import value. And we look at the leakages that occurred. Our net service imports, the value of services that came into this country versus that went out, 3.89 billion. Profits that was repatriated, 2.98 billion. And I want you to hold this 2.98 billion in your pocket, because we'll talk about it again. 2024. So we didn't pay much of our debts. So our debt was only 890 million. And because of that same thing, we didn't even have enough money to fly out. We only sent out 200 million. (2024) leakages. And so you find that the total leakage was 7.96 billion. Therein lies the first problem. Leakage overwhelmed our trade balance. In fact, net service imports plus net profit repatriation wiped out that exports over. So you see why I say the problem has nothing to do with how much we import versus how much we export. The problem is coming from somewhere else. Then I went on, I said, let's do some further analysis. Which sectors are losing us the most money? Which sectors leak the most? So I looked at 2024 again, by sector, the export value, the retention, the leak, and the value of that leak. The biggest leakage came from gold. Our biggest, most important export, our mines, and those in that sector. The export value was 11.9 billion. We retained only 46%. Now, I've said this somewhere else before, and the Chamber of Mines took me up. And they said, at that time, my own estimate was that it can't be more than 10%. So they argued and they argued and they argued. So I took their figure, 46.2%. And so the leak is 53.8%. And the value of the leak is 6.4 billion. Recognize that our credit, our surplus was yet, what, 5-point-something billion. Gold sector took out more than that. Oil took out 2.5 billion. But the sad thing is that we retained, even with best efforts, just 34.8 billion. Gold leaked more than everything else. And I really hope there are some mining companies here, because this is from the Gold Board website. And they announced in 2025 that we put a whopping 5.5 billion into the economy. And this includes salaries, local contracts, community work, CSR, everything put together, 5.5 billion. And I respond, But your export value was 11.9 billion. So this thing you are talking about, it doesn't fly. You see, hop over to Nigeria. Minimum is 56% by law. Go to South Africa. It's 55% if they take the minimum, and when they add everything percent, they retain 70% of their gold exports. Go to Botswana. The Botswana JV that controls diamonds. It's a 50-50 JV. You see, we are at an interesting place. South Africa exports less gold than Ghana, but retains more value than us. Let me share a story. I was in one of the local radio stations talking, and somebody asked me a question, and I felt, says, this was a local radio, so we're speaking Fanti, so I'll tell you how I said. This person says, Sir Jackson, na sen kantetin, obi beji ma assassin, no zudiaza, eye ebunu, no nyabasa. Ebunu nye den, oche me bien, no wafafa, no wabremo sofa. Ebusa nye den, oche me basa, no wafakor, wafa bien, no wabremo kor. No I den na hen true agreement. Yes, lithium 10%. Ni yenyu aje. Bauxite. Effectively, they're saying in the old days, we did JVs. And the JV was 50-50, or at worst, 30 and 70, or 33, 63, 66, and 0.6. Why is it that now, when we do, somebody comes to take things from our, extract things from our soil, they give us 30%, and we think 10%, and we are excited. Or you announce some. It's not right. It's not right. I want to go back here because I want to drive this conversation even further. Let's look at the leakage values. Let's look at this column. For every $100 we get, $53 goes where? Goes out for the gold sector. For every $100 we get, $65 go out for the oil sector. And this is best case using their own estimates. Wow. You see, I get to this conclusion that we can export all we like. For so long as more than half is going, what is left will not help us. You see, if Ghana continues to retain less than half the value of its exports, then increasing export volumes alone will not strengthen the cedi and may leave it under even more pressure. Right now, we are all smiling, isn't it? The cedi has come down from the lofty heights of, 15, maybe even 17, to now it's 11. And we are all excited. As surely as night follows day, if we don't fix this, and we continue to subscribe to that Ananse story, Sidin, Dolan, because we are not fixing the problem. We are fixing the symptom. And like Ananse, he tells you, oh no, here's your bottle of water. Here's your bottle of water. and give me half, and we all smile, and we believe the story. Or your Ananse some. You know, there's a gentleman who's my friend, and he asked me, you sure? Help me understand this. And I said to him, listen, the key thing is what I call usable forex. Usable forex is really the retention rate times our export earnings. Because that's what is left here for us to use to import. And bear in mind that the forex demand is to pay imports, dividend, debt payments, and I could go on and on and on. Our forex supply is limited by the leakages. So I get to the uncomfortable conclusion that if forex demand is greater than usable for FX, the CD will what? Keep on depreciating. Because you see, you know that balance where it seemed like the exports was larger and the balance was tilted in our favor, usable forex wipes that out. And the balance drops against us. So to get usable forex, it's the retention rate. If you want more usable forex, fix the retention rate. You can keep exporting. If the retention rate is less than half, you are fighting a losing battle for this country. Oh, yeah, Ananse some. So, somebody might ask, how does this affect me? Okay, he said, Jackson, I've said all this. How does this affect me? I'll tell you how it affects you. Broke it into 3 categories: the common man, businesses, and the policymakers. How does it affect the common man? You see, I don't import because I just like the face of someone living outside. I import because that product is cheaper, or that's the only place I can get it. The reason why you find Ghanaians queuing up at China Mall is that the things sold in China Mall are cheap. And so when you buy from China Mall, you are relatively lifting up your standard of living. That phone, that Android phone, cheaper than an iPhone, is lifting your standard so you can use a current phone. So that you don't have to use a yam. That's why we import. So when you tell me don't import, guess what? My standard of living is going down. You see, importation is not a patriotic venture. The buying decision is not patriotic. And so when you give me a space where we have fake patriotic solutions, buy Ghana, use Ghana, they don't help me. And the worst part is that we get angry at the wrong actors. GUTA, the Association of Importers, China Mall, and all those people are people we are angry with. We are angry at the wrong people. You see, the leakages, they don't go out through Goro boys. So when I hear they are arresting Goro boys, I say, Ananse Seminar, the leakages, they are official. I invest in Ghana. I come through GIPC. At the end of the year, and you are in March, profits have been declared. So I go to GIPC and I present my case and I say, I want to export so much. After all, I brought the money in. So what's happening? The money will leak out. And because we all subscribe to that vision, when when the city is depreciating, we don't ask questions about the leakages. We say, oh, Sir Jackson, how fancy you. It is not my cheese. My cheese is for my stomach. It won't change anything. Let me eat my cheese. The problem is elsewhere. Go and deal with that problem before you come and talk to me about my cheese. I can import more and nothing will change. I have a positive trade balance. Don't make me feel guilty that I'm a fancy man and I eat cheese. That's wrong. You are wrong because you are attacking the wrong person. And you see, for businesses, because we are not solving the problem and we are solving the symptom, everybody wants to trade because really trading is the key. Nobody wants to keep money in dollars and cedis. We all want to. So what? We don't invest in this country. And our domestic value chains are poor. We don't invest. When you invest, things don't go. I want to see, why should I sometimes, sometimes I respect people who are investing in this country. You should respect people like me. You should respect my good brother. Dan, good to see you. You know why? Every 5 years, the depreciation wreaks havoc on your balance sheet. And you look at your balance sheet in dollars and you say, oh God, I'm in trouble. And if you are like Delex Finance, Bank of Ghana will say, let's raise capital. As for our policy makers, they focus on the wrong policies, they fix the wrong things, and they misdiagnose our weakness. We are solving the wrong problems. The real problems are persistent currency weakness due to leakages. The real problems are repeated economic crisis because we are not fixing it. The real problem is this: there's an illusion of progress. I say to you right now, there's an illusion of progress. That's why I'm speaking to you today. If you don't fix it, as surely as night follows day, we'll go back to the old ways and the city will depreciate. And the opposition will say, if the framework is wrong, the currency will expose you. Ananse Stories. It's true. Oh, Ananse Stories. We are leaking money away. This is what we must do. First of all, we must increase domestic participation in the extractives. And you see, domestic participation is not a company registered in Ghana. It is a company controlled by Ghanaians, where the critical decisions are taken here, where the profit stays here. It doesn't get repatriated. Unless we do, you see, one of the myths we have is that, they come here to help us. They don't come to help us. They come here to move profit away. The value is made here. We make the value here. The enjoyment is somewhere else. We're in a season of goodwill. If we don't fix it, the season of trouble will surely come. And you see, they don't give us contracts. We have local content laws. They don't obey them. Mining sector, they don't obey them. They don't care. They'll tell you don't have the capacity, so we can't give you the contract. But Ananse Stories, we have to fix it. We have to be deliberate about growing, enforcing our local content laws. We have to be deliberate about our technical service capacity. You see, we have to be deliberate about providing domestic capital. So you see, if the capital comes from outside, the profit will go where? And yet this country has a hand. SMEs are the engine of growth. Oh, yeah, Bazi. SMEs are the engine of growth. Oh, yeah, answer some. And in Ghana, the worst part is that everybody is an SME. Oh no, the global definition of an SME is anybody whose turnover is less than $800 million. Delex, or your SME. In Ghana, if I say I'm an SME, they won't mind me. Would they mind me? No, but I don't make $800 million. $800 million is 8 billion cedis turnover. You don't match up to that, you're an SME. Here, SMEs are everybody from the salon keeper who has one assistant, the granite seller, the one, everybody is an SME. And they say SMEs are the engine of growth. Let me give you another statistic. 60 plus, I think it was about 64 different unique SME initiatives have been announced in the last 10 years. 60 plus. Government, USAID, private sector. Forgive my, I know my friends are here. Fidelity Bank, they are here. Everybody has an SME program. You know what? Guess what? We launch an average of 6 initiatives every year. Wow. You know why? If launching SME programs created growth, Ghana will be an economic superpower by now. 6, oh, it's not a joke. 6 of them each year, average. Can't be. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with this. It is Oyananda Ananse Stories was a catch here na yente. I won't listen to this anymore. You know, SMEs are the engine of growth. We just need more SME funding. SME programs equal growth. Oyabazi. Oyananse Stories. I'm not anti-SMU. I started work, soft tried. We started in my partner's bedroom in his parents' house. Herman Hesse of blessed memory. But little issue. The issue is this. Growth is driven by exceptional productive firms, some of which may very well start at SMEs. You see, the average SME is fighting for survival, not to scale. So somewhere in that subset of SMEs, we must elect champions. 69 years after independence, where is our global champion? Where is our Dangote? Where is our MTN? Where is our Lechego? No, we don't have any. We eat our young. We eat our young. And you see, 60 plus SMEs. Why are they not delivering 60 plus initiatives? Why are the SMEs looking like a withered tree? Why are they not delivering the growth we need? You see, it's very simple. All these are SMEs. They die. 80% die within the first 3 years. They move on. They die. Simple as that. They are largely informal. You know, when you are informal, and informal is not a bad thing, But when you are informal, it means that your connection to the rest of the economy to deliver growth is not the same. The multiplier effect that you deliver is not the same. So what happens? You don't deliver anything, and on top of it, there's a double whammy. We have low productivity. Very low productivity. And the worst part is that the productivity never grows. It is also stagnant. So you can't raise capital. You don't have enough money. And it goes on and on. That's why our SMEs are not delivering. Somewhere is a subset, that missing middle. Who can bridge this gap? Who can deliver what we need? You see, the SMEs, they don't grow. They just rotate through the different initiatives that we have. Let's compare to some of our compatriots. We all started 9 years ago around the same level. Ghana, Malaysia, Singapore. I picked Singapore and South Korea. Ghana, plenty, 60 plus in 10 years, 6 per year. Guess what we found out? For every 10 programs we have, you have only one. They are few. They are coordinated. Here, everybody, the program. I was going to say something. Mass lock. Obiajibi. Apologies. Obiajibi. When we have a program, everybody is an SME. Everybody does some. And yet for them, it is targeted. And they target winners. You must be a proven winner before we give you anything, before we give you support. Here, the program is our politics. It is our time. As the Nigerians say, it is now our turn. Turn by turn. So, what happens? The support is on political basis. Right? Let me tell you something. We eat our own. So, the champions of the last 8 years, they are dying surely. They will die. And new champions will come up. And when the new champions come, let me tell you something. Anybody who is a new champion, I have advice for you. In the Bible, there were 7 years of plenty, followed by what? 7 years of famine. In Ghana, it's 8 years of plenty, followed by what? 8 years of famine. So put some money aside. Find a Joseph to superintend. You're putting money aside because life is hard. It is about performance. You don't perform. You see, what did we say? They die early. You don't get a certain kind of support if you haven't proven that you can survive. So the support won't come to you within the first 3 years. You can't set up a company today and get support tomorrow. It's about performance. Here it is fragmented. There it is a centralized strategy. Guess what? Singapore, it doesn't celebrate startups, so it skills champions. And unless we get to the point where we can select a champion in spite of politics, we're not going anywhere. And we say, SMEs are the engine of growth. No, there's a small subset of winners who are going to be the engine of growth. Not all SMEs. Because you see, the real constraints are going to be this. Number one, market access. That small informal company that you say you're going to help to export, you give it access. They can't even buy a ticket to go to a fair. to showcase their goods unless it is paid for by the government. They don't have the capacity. No management systems. So how on the earth are they going to be able to scale? And you see, it's easy to say, let's export. They don't meet the standards. They sew for you today, tomorrow the same tailor, the same measurement. In your case, well, that doesn't include me, but that's okay. The shirt, the sleeves don't fit. These days I'm trying to lose weight. So 2 nights ago, I was trying on a shirt that I wanted to wear for this program. I was trying it on with my wife. So I wore the shirt and the sleeves were tight. It wasn't true. The guy doesn't have standards. He's an SME, as we call it, and we spread money to them. Listen, it's like we have a classroom. There are a few really sharp people. There are lots of average people. And then there are some dancers. Life is hard for them. And yet we insist that the teacher should give each the same amount of time and the same kind of help. We bring the help to the lowest common denominator. And when we can't get them, you see, because the help to the sharp ones should be helping them get promoted quickly. No. Whether you are going to be taking part in the maths and science quiz for this year, or you still get only the same kind of help. That can't be. There's some winner that deserves extra help so that they can go to that maths and science quiz and win. By the way, Fancy Mema has won 2 years in a row. Korea didn't grow by funding all SMEs. It backed the few that could win. And it's easy to sit here and say, how does this affect me? My friend is back again. Let me tell you how it affects you. Low and stable incomes. Productivity is low, it stays low, and you are paid low. And we complain. The jobs are informal. There's no stability. They are fragile. First of all, 34% of all persons aged between 15 and 35 are unemployed. Statistical Service, not mine. For those that are employed, 64% are in vulnerable jobs. Why? Because we are informal and we spread. You see, it is even the champions that give jobs to the smaller ones. Our champions will give us jobs, will give the SMEs jobs. You know why that service repatriation is so huge? You remember the figure? That service repatriation is huge because their champions give jobs and contracts to their cronies. If I win a job, if I'm a champion, I'll give my friends here. I can see lots of my friends. You get contracts. So if Dalex was a champion. And you see, we are starved of serious capital because the capital is spread too thin. And the West, the few champions there are. You know what's happening? We are competing against people who have subsidized capital. So we can't get very far. A few years ago, there was a selection of champions for the pharmaceutical sector. Well, I'm not sure whether the selection was fair or not. All I know is that even whether the selection is fair or not, today, across West Africa, our pharmaceutical sector is making waves. It's just evidence that this Ananse story about all of us being equal, SMEs are the engine of growth, is not true. Our champions, the larger companies, are going to be the engine of growth. And as for the policy makers, they spend our money badly on all manner of programs. We don't pay. There's no return. And they don't fix the problem. And the cost is high. Because the cost means that it's not just inefficiency. They keep our incomes low. Capital is dispersed. Productivity stays low. And the growth never compounds. There are no champions. Last Thursday, I was at a thought leadership program for TV3. And I spoke on this topic. Who owns the Ghanaian economy? And I opened by saying, the fact that you have the keys to the house, the fact that you live in the house, it doesn't mean you are the owner. You are a tenant. You pay rent. And you know that 2.9 billion that they repatriate as profits, it's our tenancy agreement, our 1 year advance, 2024, we paid. We paid. And you know what? We are pawns in our own country. We don't grow champions. So our champion, the king and the queen here, they are white here, isn't it? But these days, they are not white anymore. Some of them are Nigerian. Some of them are South African. Even Botswana can deliver a champion. We are here. You see, it is our underperformance. Don't listen, I'm not here to be xenophobic or to blast anybody. It is our own underperformance, our own refusal to set up champions, our own refusal to choose. Where is our Samsung? Where is our LG? Where is our Access Bank? GT Bank, Zenith? We don't have any local champions. Well, you have Delex. That's not bad. Until Ghana builds companies that own, control, and scale value, will remain tenants in our own economy, not owners of it. There's some things we must do immediately. We must start. We must be intentional about selecting champions. You know, when we talk about deepening local participation in the oil sector, the extraction sector, we must do it. And too many times we fight over the wrong things. Our champions must win. When they win, they'll drag the rest of us along. Our champions must win because when they win, they deliver sustainable jobs. Our champions must win because when they win, they stop the leakages. Our champions, they must win. And so long as we are not intentional about selecting champions, it won't work. We must more, you see, this won't work if the capital is from outside because we'll still continue to pay rent. 100 billion is sitting. You know what we use it for? It's a piggy bank for the government. The rules have been set up such that it's only government securities they can buy. Right? You see, sometimes it's a bit too easy, and somebody will say, but we are corrupt. If we open up, people will chop. Well, but we have to find a way. Otherwise, we are heading for trouble. And as surely as night follows day, our problems will come back. This is but a season of smiles. You must move up the value chain. See, today, Ghana's currency weakness. SMEs are the engine of growth. Before I leave you, I want to remind you that the real issue is this leakage. And for so long as this leakage is there, we'll all come and open our eyes like the lady is opening and showing us. And what will happen? If we continue to retain half the value, less than half the value of our exports, it won't work. If we don't build companies that own, control, and scale value, we will remain tenants in our economy, not owners of it. As I leave you, I want to leave you with three things. Number one, we don't have a dollar problem. We have a value retention problem. Number two, we don't lack exports. We lack ownership of the exports. Finally, SME funding in Ghana is economic charity, not a growth strategy. Thank you very much.
I think he deserves another round of applause. Can I get a seat for Big Joe? I think he's earned his salary for tonight. So if you can get a seat close to the water, we'll ask a few questions. I mean, look, I think this is clear. I think we should go home, but, the media people need a story, so we have to ask a few questions. Let's acknowledge a few more people. In the course of the lecture, one of the people who needs support, or not, one of the champions who needs to be propped up and showcased is joined us. So the CEO of the McDan Group, Mr. Daniel Macaulay, Dr. Daniel Macaulay, who is a previous CIMG Marketing Man of the Year. So at least we are the CIMG, we choose the right people and we prop them up. So McDan, thank you for being here. I could see him nodding vigorously when Joe Jackson was discussing the South Korea-Singapore example. So I think that's a good one. So I'm not sure if I should just open the floor directly or ask him a few questions. Which one do you think I should do? I should ask a few questions. All right. I just have 3 questions for you. Yes. So thank you so much. The first question, why did you do this? Why are you even taking the trouble? You seem to be successful in life. You have a well-paid job. You have a beautiful wife. Your children are doing well. I mean, why are you worrying yourself? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just enjoy your money. Why are you giving yourself this problem? Sorry.
Bernard, you're right. And some of the things I've said, I know tomorrow morning there'll be a backlash. But hey, listen, forgive me. This year I'm 62. All right? This country has been good to me. I was a member of the last batch of people who in Legon got paid by the government. I was paid 14 cedis every 2 weeks just for being in Legon. And I didn't pay my parents, neither me or my parents paid a single cent in fees. Right? This country has been good to me. And we should give back. And if giving back means that we should lift our voices, it's only my voice. I've enjoyed of this country. So I really think that it is time for us all to give back. Too many people, forgive me, too many of us, it's so easy to sit in your corner, try and make some money, not make any waves. When the regime changes, put on a different hat, try and get some other contract, and life goes on. But that's too easy.
So you care a lot about Ghana?
Yes.
When you put up the gold, oil, and cocoa figures, my rough calculation was that
gold and oil, not cocoa.
Gold, you didn't add cocoa, so that was close to 70-something%.
Yes.
When you add cocoa to that figure for 2025, you have 89% of our export earnings are from 3 commodities.
Yes.
So, from the calculation I have, gold is 67%, oil is 8.4%. This is exports.
Yes.
Cocoa is 11.7%. Then the rest of everything we export, the so-called non-traditional exports, is 11%. My question is, if you look at the leakages, it seems to me as though those leakages are because of the nature of these commodities. Large foreign companies are involved in mining. Oil, a lot of it is owned by foreigners. So what I'm trying to point out to you is that maybe if we expanded the NTEs, and presumably NTEs, non-traditional exports, will be dominated by locals, more of those export earnings will be retained. Is that something we should be thinking about?
I would agree with you, except for the example of other countries. Go to Nigeria, they make more money. What do the Nigerians know that we don't know? Why is it that at the base, they take back 56%? At our best estimate, not the base, at our best estimate, we're taking back what? 40-something%. What is it that the Botswanan policymakers know that we don't know? Why is it that they have a JV of 50-50 and we are doing lithium? We are doing bauxite. You see, what worries me is that we are sleepwalking into the same situation again. And guess what will happen? We'll continue to leak. We'll leak like the oil is leaking. And the pressure will be worse on the CD dollar value. So if we don't look at this and fix what the problem is, we wake up and you know, we have to ask the question that I was asked. In the old days, there was a bunu and a busa. Why is it that now we can't ask for what is our fair share? Why is it that we can't enforce the local content laws? This is not a new law. Local content laws are there already. Why do they get away with it? Why do they get away with telling us that our technicians are not competent? Why are we not training our technicians? Why do they get away with giving contracts only to themselves? It's our fault. It's our fault for underperforming.
All right. My second question has to do with 2025. Again, you did say you limited to 2024 because the BOG hasn't published their figures. But when I look at the current figures, we seem to have a positive current account. And let me explain this. So what you basically was doing was saying that you have a trade surplus, but when you account for the leakages, some of which are official, your current account is in deficit. That's what you did, which is true. But for 2025, we seem to have a positive current account. And some people are attributing that to the role of the gold board for gold. So their point is that gold board was able to mop up gold that leaks illegally, and then by their monopoly power and the way they sort of do their selling, we retain the earnings for gold. And so they feel like the gold board has begun to solve the problem, part of the problem you showed. I don't know what you think about that. Have you analyzed the gold board's work to agree that that's part of the solution?
First of all, I'm the biggest supporter of the gold board, right? I started supporting the gold board when it wasn't even fashionable. It does help, but it doesn't fix the problem. You see, if the leakage, how does gold board fix the mining company from repatriating its profit? How does gold board fix the net service imports? What we have is a temporary situation that, you see, why I showed this for 8 years is that it is a structural problem. It is not a one-off. And in fact, if you go back another 8 years, it's the same. What we have is a one-off. It's a structural problem. And that's why I'm saying that one of the reasons why I'm doing this now is to warn that we are in a season where we are smiling. But that season, we have not fixed the problem at the root. And if we don't fix the problem at the root, surely as night follows day, we'll come and face the problem again. So, gold bought, fantastic.
But don't forget that for the first time, artisanal gold proceeds is more than official. And again, some people attribute that to the gold board. For many years, most of our gold export in value was the mining companies. For the first time since record started, artisanal gold is 51% and large scale is 49%. So again, that suggests that the aggregation and all the other things they're doing, plus their intention to refine 1 ton or whatever tons per year.
But what is artisanal gold?
Small scale mined gold.
Fantastic.
So that's 50%.
Back to our SME problem again.
Yeah.
Capital is dispersed. Methods are wrong. Our water bodies are being polluted. And at some point, it's going to have to stop. What happens then? We are living on borrowed time where artisanal gold is concerned. For better or for worse, at least the bigger companies, they are more sophisticated in mining methods. They at least will make an attempt to keep a dam where the tailings will go so that they don't pollute. There will be an attempt to reclaim the land. There is enough to police them. You see, this, and that's why we should be careful. This season is a season. At some point, we have to ask ourselves, whatever we are getting from this artisanal gold, is it worth what they are doing to our country? So, gold board is good, but how sustainable is that artisanal gold? And that's why it's important to look at these things in two ways. Not just look at the fact that there's a leakage and an export problem, myth, but there's also a champion's myth. Because those two myths together, when you take them, you start to understand how big our problem is. We need champions. We need champions who will mine. Even at the very minimum, you need a champion who will aggregate those mines. What we are doing is extremely low productivity, mining alluvial in poor ways, and punishing all of us.
Okay, no problem. Let's talk about imports as my last question on your first quick one answer story. Then I'll ask you one question on the second quick one answer story. Then I'll open the floor. China Mall. You know, you said with the sort of misplaced anger. Or we are both wearing things made in Ghana. So that pays a Ghanaian. If you buy an imported product, no matter how small, you're exporting a job. That is a fact. So are you saying that the angst against imported products is misplaced, or that the volume of the value we spend on that is so small that the real G is the big boys up there?
You've answered both questions. First of all, the real problem are the big boys. How much is China Mall exporting? And how much? You see, it takes a
But
really...
if China Mall brings
hold on.
if China Mall brings a shoe, the shoe factory in Kumasi cannot sell. So they will also lose jobs.
But then, shouldn't we be making a champion of the shoe factory? So that the shoe factory... You see, the reason why the shoe factory can't sell can't be only because it's in Kumasi. It's only because it can't scale, it's low productivity, and the shoe doesn't look as good as it should.
Because the Chinese, because they can produce so much at such a low price, will find a way of undercutting them so they will never be profitable.
That's not true. The Turkish are producing shoes.
But Turkish?
Yes.
In Ghana or in Turkey?
In Turkey. No, hold on. People from Turkey are producing shoes. And a lot of the shoes you're wearing now are coming from Turkey rather than China. There are other people doing other things. The point is this: we need champions to scale so that we can produce at a scale that makes sense. And you see, the other point is this: as we sit, enough of my gold oil is going out to allow me to eat my cheese, to allow me to buy from China Mall. The big boys are the problem. You understand? The amount we are talking about is insignificant compared to the leakages, and that's why it's important that we look at which sectors are leaking. Did you see trade anywhere there? And this leakage is coming officially. I walk to GIPC. I present my certificate and my audited accounts for the year. Then I repatriate my profits. I walk to GIPC and I lay on the table a service contract, a management contract that says, as part of the services that I'm doing in managing this company locally, I should be given X amount of dollars every month, every quarter, every year. And it comes to me. My experts come and work. And it's important for us to realize, you see, you can't take these myths completely in isolation. Because they are linked. They are linked. Those leakages are linked with the fact that we don't have enough champions to own.
So if I get you right, you are not saying we shouldn't promote buy made in Ghana.
No.
You're saying buy made in Ghana produced by local champions because they are the ones who can compete.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll let you that one go. Final thought around small companies. Some of them, not just because they can't make profit, but employment value and also reducing the stress. So, for example, we don't support companies just because they can export. If you build a company in Ahafo or Tongo or somewhere, you are preventing rural-urban migration. So we shouldn't look at companies just on the basis of how competitive their product will be, but in terms of their social utility. So I want you to amend, because not all of us can become McDan, right? And even if you can McDan, because of the size of what he does, he has to be in Accra. He needs to be close to the port. He needs to be close to power. So he will have to position his companies near. No, relax. Allow. I'm saying that the bigger he becomes, he needs to be close to Power Enclave. So most of our companies are either in the industrial area. But you don't want everybody from my village to come and work in Tema or Ashaiman. So sometimes you need to support companies who are far away and smaller because there's also an employment utility of a company.
Hang on. What about salt? Salt. Ada. Right? I'm saying that there's a myth that you can only be a champion in Accra. What about blue skies?
98% of GIPC companies, when they did the analysis, Accra, Kumasi. So there's a fact, almost all the big companies are in Accra and Kumasi.
Yes, but almost all the big companies are foreign. Listen, nothing stops us, right, from creating a champion in my hometown in Winneba and Senyabriku. Nothing stops us.
Bad roads. Not enough power.
I think you are falling into it.
No, they don't want to go.
Not that they don't want to go. You see, what you're saying is that we ourselves have created conditions that make us unproductive, that keep us as SMEs. That you see, I was talking about the program I had on Thursday, and there was a farmer who stood up and he ranted and raved when we talked about the fact that there are stacks of rice in the north and nobody at next to no price, and nobody is buying, and nobody wants to transport it to Accra, and that we import rice. I said, when rice is at next to no price and we don't want to, it's cheaper to bring rice from Thailand than it is to bring it from Tamale. Our problem is bigger than you think. Because the price he was quoting for the rice and the maize in the north is incredible. And he's talking about 50 cedis for a 50 kilo bag. How much is a 50 kilo bag of Thai rice here? And why is nobody? You see, buying is an economic decision. Buying is an economic decision. It's not a patriotic decision. So my point is that by what we are doing, we are keeping ourselves. We will only buy Thai rice if the price is right. We won't buy Thai rice just for it. If Ghanaian rice is scalable, it's at the right price, we'll buy it.
But I agree with that. But if you also market your local produce to affect the palate of your children, then local can be premium. Because if I spend all my money buying KFC, the local poultry farmer will suffer if KFC doesn't source from the local poultry farmer. So I think there should be a balance between pure economics, because marketing also, and we are here at CIMG, you can tell somebody that if you buy foreign, it's better, and therefore he'll pay a premium for it. So whilst I agree with you, I'm also saying that we must be conscious of the social dimension of what people prefer to spend their money for. That's also part of our economic issue. So it's not just pricing, it's also about perception. And I want you to concede that. You have to.
You see,
you have to.
Listen, I wish it was as simple.
Because in Nigeria, when I go to Nigeria, all their hotels sell ofada rice. I eat their local food. The rice may have stones in it, but we enjoy it. Because the Nigerian, no. What I'm saying is that the Nigerians love their food and they are proud of it. It's part of the economic discussion. Economics is not just what is cheap. Economics is also what you are made to believe is high quality. And I'm saying you must have that balance in the discussion.
Has it occurred to you that today, when you go to a wedding, right?
Yeah.
And a wedding is festive.
Yeah.
Count the number of people buying local clothes.
It's growing.
It's growing.
We saw it for Nigerian movies.
And you will see that
it was a deliberate marketing of the Nigerian movies that made us believe. No, I'm coming. What I'm saying is that many years all bankers still wear suits, because they feel if you wear suit, it means you are serious. Nigerian politicians all dress like you. So what I'm saying is that there's also a psychological economics is, and I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but I'm saying we need balance around how people perceive what is local. So yes, we buy not for sentimental reasons, but there are some things we buy for sentimental reasons. This weekend, we did Made in Ghana program, Back to Your Village Food Festival. Over 20,000 people came to eat Ghana food, properly packaged. And that's markets, 200 vendors. It's business for them. So we have to admit that the way we sell our local products is part of the discussion. You have to consider. Otherwise, we'll make progress.
At this rate, if I don't concede, we'll move on.
Yes.
But listen.
So consider, let's move on.
But I'll allow you to have the last word. But the issue is that if we keep thinking this way, myths will continue, and we will always have an excuse. You see, there's one thing I believe in. If you want to do something, you will find a way. If you don't, you will find an excuse.
Thank you. And thank you for opening our eyes to the myths. Put your hands together for Joe Jackson. Please remain seated. We will take some quick comments. I need some mics in the studio. Just mention your name and a comment or a question or a contribution to what is said. Joe, do you need a pen and a paper or you're fine? All right, let's go. Just 3 or 4? Two. Wonderful. 2 per round. 2 per round, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. That was a wonderful presentation. That was a real eye-opener. Now, we need champions. And given the rates of high mortality, low productivity, highly informal of our SMEs, I really want your take on this. So how do we increase participation of domestic, our SMEs in extractives? I want to hear exactly what you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take one more. Yes, sir. The gentleman, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for the privileged. I'm Samuel Boitesegwefia, owner of Waste Segregation Systems. I feel very privileged to be here because I know a few people, Michael Abiu, Daniel Macaulay, I met him, and then Joe Jackson as well. Thank you. So I think that I've learned a lot today, understanding what the real problems are, and then coming from an SME space. And I agree with the call that we need champions. So I, for one, I believe I'm a champion. In 2024, I tried to do a national expansion. The issue that happened was a resource. I've been in, financial resource. I've been in a few competitions, won a few, gone to a few programs. National Innovation Challenge, I was there, went through the whole thing, finished everything. The issue was the money went back because they couldn't do what they had to do. Yes. So I agree with what you're saying. And I think sometimes financing the champions is the issue that is not helping us to do what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, so you comment on that and answer the first question.
Okay. Thank you very much for the contribution. I'm answering the second question first.
Yeah.
It was really a contribution, and it goes again to say that we must be able to find a way of helping what I call the emerging companies, those that have shown that they can survive, those that have shown that they can employ a certain number of people, those that have shown that they can have a board and start to make an institution. And those must be helped to become champions. And on getting, and it's similar to what you were asking Romerick, how do we get people there? We must evaluate you and on your performance. We can't just give you money because you're an SME, and because you as an SME, once you show that you're an SME, you get money. I want to know, have you survived for 5 years? 8 years? Right? I lived in Nigeria for some time, and I was part of a program in Nigeria called the Faith Foundation. And Faith Foundation was a foundation by one of the founders of GT Bank. That was his. And there was a section it was called Emerging. And before you get help, before you even come for training, you must show that your company has been there for at least 5 years. You have a certain turnover. You have a certain number of employees. Then you are given a certain kind of assistance. And that assistance qualifies you to move forward. So the key is this. Whatever we do must be performance-based. For those that are starting, the startups, they need a different kind of help. And just maybe even private capital can do that. Let's reserve the heavy hitting for our champions. And let's select our champions because they perform and not because they have the right political color.
Thank you, sir. Next round. Yes, sir. Where's the mic? Oh. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
You did answer.
This is very, very insightful. I never thought about these things in the way that you explained them today. My name is Raymond Donyo. I'm a legal practitioner. And my take is on the big boys. Because as a young lawyer, I've been around for about 16 years. I've been in a lot of spaces advising mostly these foreign investors that come in the extractive industry and related industries, telecoms and others. I found that, just as you've said, the local content idea, in my view, doesn't work. It hasn't been working so far as I'm concerned. And the GIPC arrangement that we have, the regime that we have, for me, doesn't seem to be benefiting us. Because we've signed on these technology transfer agreements, management agreements, and the idea is that when they come in with technology, with all these ideas, at some point, we should have Ghanaian experts taking up these industries. It doesn't happen. You find that in some of these companies, the expatriates are there permanently, doing the work. So what are we benefiting? What are we retaining? In terms of salaries, in terms of conditions, in terms of what really goes into our economy. As you rightly said, dividends are paid, the approvals are given, everything's repatriated. My question is, why are we doing this? Why are we allowing this to happen? From what you've said, it means that it's not happening in other African countries. They seem to have the muscle or what it takes to negotiate fairly, to retain these things in their country. For me, that's what I've been ringing in my head. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Practically, what are we going to do? Is it legislation? It's not legislation, because the laws are there. I've engaged the laws, personally. But it's going on.
Raymond, your question has been well asked.
Thank you.
He will answer. Thank you. Do you have any more hands? Yes, sir.
My name is Maxwell Okansi Arthur. I'm a private consultant. Mr. Jackson, thank you very much for your insightful presentation. I just want us to look at other extraneous factors which are not purely economic, but the attitude of us. Now, there are certain resources that we don't mind very much, like time. To the Ghanaian, time is okay. When it rains, no go work. Friday, don't you think that these are factors that also lead to being non-competitive in our development? And how do we tackle these issues?
Thank you, sir. So, Maxwell's question on extraneous factors, and Raymond.
Okay. Now, let me take Maxwell's question first. Raymond, I'll come to you. Ghanaians don't keep to time. Ghanaians, we don't bother. The same Ghanaians work in another country's champion, and the same Ghanaians do well. Sometimes they do the same, they keep to time in this country. Is it that we have this attitude because we can get away with it? And that if we had champions who were serious, who wanted to improve productivity, because they have to meet standards, they have to grow, they will still allow this to happen? It happens because we get away with it. It happens because we are informal. It happens because we don't care. I beg to differ. There are companies in Ghana, in the same country, where people keep to time, where people do the right thing, where people are productive. It is the masses of us who, we don't care, but we don't care because we don't have champions. Go and work for a champion, and if you like, mess up. It won't happen. And these the same companies, and these are companies and the ones that we have media houses. They run 24/7. People start work at 5 a.m. Are they late?
Never. Can't be late.
So, again, I say, if we want to do something, we'll find a way. If we don't, we'll find an excuse. Now, Raymond, your question is tough. I admit it's tough because sometimes it's hard for me to understand, why do we do this to ourselves? Why don't we obey the local content rules? Or don't we understand the implications? Or is it too easy to flout them? The answer is that I'm hoping that discussions like this will start to trigger things and start to let us all think about. Because you see, it doesn't matter whether, in a sense, it doesn't even matter whether I'm right. What matters is that we talk about it and we think through it and we take something away that allows us to look at these issues again and say, just maybe this is not right.
Thank you. We'll take the last batch. So Amamwa, Mrs. Amamwa in front, and then the gentleman on.
Thank you very much. My question is, will we ever have a government who will be bold enough to change the status quo? Because this has been a trend from each government. It's like it's a big whale. We know the problem, but we don't want to solve it. So will Ghana ever have a government to say that this is the problem? And we have the boldness to change the status quo?
Thank you for the
Thank you.
question. And then the gentleman, because of time, let me just pick him.
Thank you very much. Kofi Asarwidi Akon. I'm in the educational sector, but I'm a deputy director. And so I'm looking at it from this point of view that can we do something within our curriculum setup where training the child as you want him to be so that when he grows, he will not depart from it. I believe that to create a champion, you have to start training the child as a champion.
Yeah.
Then, when he grows, he knows that I have to be a champion. And the National Science and Maths quiz will tell you that. Yes, because from our point of view, in fact, that's the whole brain behind the thing. So anybody coming from that side knows that we have to keep them. We have to ask their parents that we are keeping them for this number of months. We have to take them out. They have to go on trials. We have to let them go on competitions. Even before they go for the real competition, they have gone all around almost the whole Ghana, training them. And that gives them the opportunity to know that I have to sit and then do it because I have to be a champion. So I'm saying that can we have a situation where we can bring this to the fore of our educational sector, where based on what our Joe Jackson is saying, we can put something in, if that can also work for us.
Thank you. I think next series they should put Magdan and some other champions to share their stories. I think that would be very nice because there's also a sense in which I feel like even in our public discourse and the media, we pick on local success stories because we sort of watch their little in public, right? It's fashionable to do this. But if you go even into large international companies, a lot of them do many bad things, but it never really comes out. So maybe some of that is psychological as well. It's like a self-hate. So you notice that if there's a Ghanaian, and I'm not saying because it's here, there are many other big companies that are roundly attacked, but you are saying they should be champions. But even Dangote's championship, there are issues with it. But, I don't think Nigerian media every week gives him such a hard time.
No, but there's also another issue. When you become a champion, it is possible for the founder owner to move away and the champion will stay. It is because we still remain without institutions, we still remain without the capacity. That's why the owner.
So first generation.
It's first generation. Because listen, in Samsung, right, the owners have been convicted of crimes and have had to step down.
But the company is still running.
But the company is running. That is a champion. Here, when the owner is convicted of anything or whatever happens, that's the end. That's not a true champion. A true champion is sustainable. Right? And madam, it's this. First of all, as a Christian, as a Ghanaian, I have hope. I always have hope. The day I lose hope is the day I start to die. So because I have hope, I have to believe that somehow, some way, things will change. And maybe if we all started talking, my way is to talk. My way is to raise the issue. My way is not to care and believe that sometime, somewhere, someone will hear me. So I always have hope. And for you, Sam, maybe it's one of the solutions, right? And our educational system can start a whole discussion about where we are going. But there's one thing I also know is this. My parents also thought our education was going to the dogs, but we survived. We also think that and so it's a generational thing. So as much as I do agree that there are some challenges, I believe it is possible. They will do it differently. They will do it differently from me, but maybe that's what is needed. They need to do things differently. Maybe the young of this country need to fight with a sling and a stone and not a war shield like we do.
Wonderful. Can I take one last round? One last round. Okay, for this one, we'll take 3. We haven't gone to this side at all. I'm also being, sorry. Okay. So my eye has been here for a long time. So let's take this side. There will be networking, so we can ask him those questions when we are eating. So let's take, we have to be mindful of time. Yes, sir.
Michael Darko. I'm an investment banker. For me, I like to be practical. What can we do, those of us in this room, to make Dalex a proper champion? Not a local champion. Take it to West Africa. Be the next Access. What can we do? Give us some practical steps. Thank you.
Thank you. We haven't gone to the back at all. So I think it's when you take about 4. So number 1, take notes. Making Dalex a champion. Number 2.
Okay, I'm Richard Odro from University of Education. If I got you right, the first myth, maybe I didn't get it right, that cedi depreciation has nothing to do with importation. Is that the case? I want to get it right.
You want him to argue his case again?
Yes.
Just ask your question.
It's because we've interrogated the data. We've done a lot of analysis, look at the relationship between the strength of the currency and the trend of imports. And we've observed that anytime imports goes up, the cedi strength begin to depreciate. And we have a lot of empirical evidence to support this. So when I got I didn't come early though, but at the edge of when I was coming and I saw the myths, it challenged me a bit. So I would really want you to throw more light on that, because
it's good you say you didn't come early, because he basically showed that you have enough export. If you just retain your export earnings, import is not your problem, because your import is not that big. You are exporting so much. You have a trade surplus for over 10 years. But the leakages or the non-retention of your export earnings is what is causing your problem. So he's not saying import is not a big problem. He's saying leakage of export is the bigger problem. That's what he's saying. So you can look at the data when we finish, and you get the full picture. So we'll take, don't worry. So this one is not a question. This has been answered. I've answered it myself. So we still have just one question. Let's go.
Okay. So quick one. My name is Kofi. I want to ask the simple question. You talked about domestic capital. So what are your proposals? What do we do in the next 5 years to be able to mobilize domestic capital? Because as you said, whoever brings the money will take it back.
So there are 2 questions so far.
Yes,
Joe, yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, Michael says, what can you do to help the Dalex? And he says domestic capital. They're actually linked. To get to the next level, Dalex is raising money. If we go and when we have to raise money, the central bank says you have to raise money. And if you don't raise money, you won't be able to get to the next level of a financial institution. We have to raise domestic capital. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just adding to the leakages. Because we are forced to raise money from outside this country. Technical services agreement, leakage. Management contract, leakage. Repatriation of profits, leakage.
Supply of raw
If we
materials.
need a practical way, we need to be able to raise money locally. We need to get money locally. Otherwise, all we'll be doing is I will hold my head in shame, go Nicodemously, collect some money, and start leaking money out again. It is what it is.
So do you see the pension funds as a useful way of raising
It's
capital?
100 billion sitting as the government's piggy bank. That can't be right.
Will the pensioners agree that their funds should also be?
Well, you see, the thing is this, there's no easy way out. But there has to be some rules. What has SNIT done with our pensions? Right? Are we getting a fair pension from what we've contributed? Something has to change. And you see, pensions are our savings. It is our money. It is not somebody else's money. It's not some white man's money. It's not some black man's money. It is Ghanaian money. Hard-earned Ghanaian money, which we paid grudgingly.
So private pension managers will be involved in this.
They have to. And if we need more capacity, listen, if today the central bank can superintend what is happening in the financial sector and is doing much better than 10 years ago, right? Let the pensions regulatory agency also do better in managing the pensions and managing how it is used.
Wonderful.
And managing risk. But let the money go to the productive sectors.
Thank you. We'll take more. So let's go to the back. Yes, madam. If you are applauding, please do it properly.
Ananse Stories. Best to my knowledge, I think you and the president are cousins, I guess so.
Yes.
That is the truth.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So I want a family discussion here. Between you as Ananse and then will you give him Tekuma or what name will you give him? Kwame or which of the
Kwame is his brother.
Yes, Kwame. In Kwame's presentation, that was the introduction, he said Ghanaians will come up with very good policies, ideas, but they are sitting down. The issue is to do doers, not getting things done. Now, I've also come up with a number of issues that are not happening. Now, between you and Kwame, are these policies that can cure these things there? And then from your end, what structures do you think must be there to really get them done? And where is the gap? If the policies are there, they can be corrected. Why are they not happening? What are the structures that are missing? So could you really help us with that? Thank you.
Thank you. Any more from the back? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is David Go, technology professional. You talked about a lot of things, and you said two main things that help us for exports, gold and oil. And a country of young people, I think they are very enthusiastic about technology. Can we find a way of using technology to plug these holes? Or, in other words, can we produce using technology in a way that retains our export? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Any more?
Okay.
Okay. So after this
let me
we'll take
answer,
that. Yes, we'll come
let me
back
answer
here.
this. Technology will be a game changer. But ultimately, he who brings the capital will control. He who pays the piper calls the tune. And as much as technology will be a game changer, if we don't find ways of funding even the technology companies with local capital, we'll still be in the same soup. Right? And so, as much as, and I'm a my youth was spent in the technology business. finance, etc., is actually my second life. But somebody has to raise capital. And even as a technology company, we had to raise money. In 2003, we had to, as the Soft Tribe, we had to raise $1 million. We sold part of the company to raise $1 million. So technology is good, but we still have to raise capital. And in fact, if anything at all, technology companies require more capital than ever now. So, and he who controls the capital is he who takes the money, the profit away. You see, so long as we don't raise local capital, we will pay rent. We don't own it. We are tenants. We have the keys. We live in there, but we don't own it.
First question, policies and
the will to execute. I have hope. But it's just about the will to execute. The laws are there, the rules are there. In fact, these days, sometimes when we hear another new law coming up, we have to ask ourselves, was this necessary? Is this new rule necessary when we can't even implement and get the old rules working? So it's the will to execute. And that's the challenge. And just maybe somebody will leave this room more determined to get things done than before.
All right. Thank you. Where's the mic? Oh, please come forward. Where are the people in front? Yes. So the lady and the gentleman on the second row. And I think that will be it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Elizabeth Antonio. I really want to applaud CIMG for this privilege. It's such a great event this evening. Yes, I want to say, I'll say about 20 years ago, I ventured into timber. And it's like, I see that we Ghanaians, we fear to take risk. That is why most of us, we are where we are today, because the criticism is very high. That is why we are not able to get to where we want to get to. Going into timber, I realized we didn't have enough timber. We were cutting off more than we were planting. And we did a lot of exports. But then, what I saw 25 years ago, I was saying, so the off-cuts we had, we could process our own table and chairs, dining tables and all that, because the very good ones were going for exports. So whatever remnants we had here could still do something. I'm coming to this because of the champions you were talking about. The idea I had then, I didn't have anyone to listen to me because I didn't have the capital. I was so young, but then who would listen to what you want to do? I was looking at not allowing Chinese or Turkish then to bring in their metal doors. When we had wood, we could do very good wooden doors here. But we had a lot of people on the market that could bring shoddy jobs, but then it condemned the markets because Ghanaians, we are not good at what we do. But there were people who could do good things, but they were expensive, we couldn't afford. That is why it was easy for the Chinese to import whatever they want to import, because it was readily available for us to. But then we're not patronizing made in Ghana because we didn't have all those equipments to process them well. The big companies that had it were at the point whereby you couldn't go and work with them. So if today we are having the secondary schools right now, we are introducing the TVETs, I think we are bringing up these young ones right now. We are now bringing up the champions from what you're talking, because it's not easy to just become a champion. We don't have all those set up, being prepared for us to grow to just become a champion when you don't have people really supporting you. So like what my daddy there was saying, our career school, in the educational background, we have to start from somewhere. Then we are now grooming them to grow. Then you grow with some mindset that you are going to become a champion, but not just to make money. You want to be good at what you do. We want to be good at what we do. At the end of the day, we are not talking about the economy. Then we know whatever we are investing in time, money, effort, the ideas you have, somebody will now appreciate you that this is what you can do, and you can do better when you get somebody supporting what you are doing. But we are not able to support ourselves. We are able to really condemn more than we appreciate what we do here.
Thank you. Please give the mic to the gentleman next to you.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Nietzsche Ebi Hammond. I am a broadcaster. I work with Z Multimedia. My question, about your advocacy for champions to be brought up or supported. One of the challenges you mentioned is about political allocation. And if we want to raise champions, we risk that political capture. What are the necessary structures that we need to put in place to be able to ensure that we don't fall into that political capture sort of thing? And who should be in charge? Is it the same politicians? That's my question.
Thank you. Those are your last two questions.
Well, I think the first one was more of a comment. So
okay, then add this question.
So
and add this one.
I'm Prince DeGrant Brampton from Auction Export. Mr. George, I would like to applaud you for your Ananse Stories. And also, I would like to ask that please elaborate on SMEs, the engine of growth. And also, how can we mobilize funds in a business? Yeah, how can we mobilize funds in a business, a firm, or international firm? How do we mobilize funds?
All right, thank you. Okay. I gave him a chance and he asked like 20 questions. So I don't know, do what you can with it.
Okay, how do you mobilize funds? Really, as a startup, you mobilize funds from friends, from family, and that's really where it starts from. As you prove yourself, then you can start to mobilize funds elsewhere. And the emphasis is as you prove yourself, all right? And improving yourself and being able to raise funds, then you should become eligible for support. Now, on the issue of politics, doesn't matter if there's some political tint in raising a champion. If that champion can survive to the next regime, the problem is not whether there's some political tint to it. The problem is the partisan nature, so that when we start 8 fat years and you get to the 8 lean years, we eat our young. I'll be honest with you. We should think this through carefully. Maybe even if our champions were initially political, they grow bigger. As they grow bigger and they become more international, politics will cease to matter. Regimes have come and gone. Maybe initially, MTN had the patronage of the Mandela family. But I don't think they're still beholden to that anymore. Maybe Dangote had the patronage of some earlier regime. Now he transcends regimes. And so this issue is so critical that just maybe it doesn't matter that you were selected a champion and that process had a political tint.
All right.
If you perform, if you do well, you are still our champion.
Wonderful. Let's put hands together for Joe Jackson. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Regimes come and go, but champions remain. And I think that the Ananse stories are clear for us to see. So whilst we are not saying we shouldn't focus on imports, if you can block the export leakages, you stand a better chance of currency stability. And while he's not saying don't support everybody, you must apply different rules for those who have the breadth to support others. I think those are his two key arguments. Let's applaud him one last time. Wow. I didn't know this would generate this many questions. Correct. Does it give him fans? Yeah. if we knew your nickname in secondary school, what's his nickname in secondary school? You don't have a nickname? Oh, I would have given you one. Amazing stuff. So we want to say a big thank you to CIMG. Let's applaud CIMG for picking the right man to discuss the right topic at the right time. And I think we can all agree that the evening with has been revived. Amazing. Now, is this going to be quarterly or biannually or once a year? Because you have to make a decision. This is really, really good. So we are in March. You're going to do one by August? Governor? Wonderful. So in 6 months' time, there'll be another one. This has been streaming live on our Facebook page and on Nova Reports with over 5,000 viewers watching us live. Over 5,000 viewers. So, unfortunately, our viewers online, we didn't have the presence of mind to take your questions yet. Some of this will be replayed on traditional media platforms for us to watch as well. This has been a really good start, and Joe, we really want to thank you for this as well. We have two big things to announce. When we are done with here, Joe will go outside. We have a backdrop for media interviews. So those media interviews is just for journalists. We will open this door for the rest of us to go out through here because we have a reception for everybody. And we have a special gift for you we have left here. So if you don't go here, you won't get anything. So basically, you take the refreshment, you collect your gift bag, and then you can meet Joe back after his interviews. So please don't mob him when he's done. The journalists want to ask a few more questions to do some exclusive so that tomorrow morning, graphic front page, Ananse Stories will be there. So on behalf of the Executive Planning Committee, chaired by Kwabena, let's put ourselves for Kwabena Ejekum. Yes. And our hard-working Governing Council and our President, Mr. Abiu, we'd like to say a big thank you to all of you, acknowledging our sponsors as well, including Dalex Finance. Let's talk about Dalex Finance. Voltic Mineral Water. Keep clapping. For throwing their weight behind this very fascinating thought leadership program. Sorry. Oh, forgive me. We also want to applaud Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. And of course, the Methodist Church for giving us this venue. Even if we paid, it was subsidized. So we are so grateful to the Methodist Church. A big thank you to all our dignitaries. A big thank you to Magdan for showing support to this event as well. So on behalf of the CIMG, we would like to say a big thank you to all of you. We will see you. No, let me invite the man of God to pray. Please, he opened us. So let's welcome back again the Reverend George Jordan Robertson. It's almost JGR. I almost said JJR, but this is George Jordan Robertson, not John Jordan Robertson. That would have been JJ Rawlings.
Thank you very much once again. Shall we bow down our heads as we say the closing prayer? Ananse Stories say, some of you don't even know what it is. Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight's wonderful program, an exposition into the economy of Ghana through Ananse Stories, as told by our big brother, our uncle, Mr. Joe Jackson. Indeed, we are very grateful for the organizers of this program, and particularly for our special guests. We pray, O God, that whatever we have received here tonight is not going to go void, and it will transcend those of us here and the companies that we represent. The diagnosis is clear. And I believe that all of us are taking home some good wisdom that will help us as we move our organizations forward. We also pray for our leaders and for those that are in authority, especially those that are responsible for the controlling of our economy. Your word tells us that we should pray for them. And this is the confidence that we have in you. That if we pray or act according to your will, you hear us. And if we know that you hear us, we know that we have the petitions that we desire of you. It is our prayer that this country will move forward because we will have people that will fix our economy for us so that it will not be a going forward and going backward. Once again, we thank you that you have brought us here, and we know that you will take us back to our various destinations, granting us traveling mercies. This we ask in Jesus' mighty name. We have prayed with thanksgiving. Amen.
Thank you very much, Osofo. So we'd like to invite all our guests to join us just through this exit to your left. It's just a very brief reception before you go. Joe, the media is waiting for you for your interview as well. Thank you, Kowansa, for attending upon this event. Thank you, Mrs. Jackson, for accompanying him. And the rest of us at the back would like to see you for your gift. Have a good evening.
you.